What happens when people only see your beauty but nothing else? Today, we are going to talk about First Lady Queen Vashti, who was bad all by herself. Hey, my Mama Faith family, and welcome to Understanding Cycles by Mama Faith podcast. Come on in because your journey has brought you home. Take your seat and relax because the next couple of minutes, oh, it's going to change your life. And for those of you who are new to my podcast, I'm Mama Faye, and I am still on this mission to give insight into cycles that keep replaying in your life. I am here to help women and a few men who want to stop the cycles in their life and are creating a new future for themselves. And I bring my revealed knowledge or the revealed knowledge of God from the Word, based on His Word, and my lived experience as a wife, a mom, a nurse, a leader, a coach, and a woman who has walked through many of these same seasons and cycles in my own life. So today I want to talk to you about something that many go through, mainly women, but there are a few men who have this same problem too. But not enough people want to talk about it because we don't really always feel sympathy for people in this category. But I want to bring it up because I saw something very different in this particular book of Esther that I have not seen in many years, and I discounted Queen Vasti as somebody who was just not following the rules. But I had to take a second look at this first lady and recognize where she was coming from. So today we're going to talk about pretty women not being taken seriously. And like I say, there are a few men that in that category too. I don't think they want to admit it, but they are. And we're going to talk about women being seen for how they look, but not being honored for how they think. And so many women can identify with this as well. We're talking about women who are being treated like they are only good for the picture. They're only needed to be seen in the room for the event. They're only there to smile, wear the beautiful outfit, show and display their beauty, and to be brought out for the look, and that's in quotes, but no real investment is put into these women. And not always do people want to identify them for their worth. And if you have ever felt like people looked at you but did not really see you, well, this episode is for you. And if you have ever been in a room where you knew you had value, but they treated you like decoration, this episode is for you too. And finally, if you have ever been told that you are pretty but not asked what you know, this episode is for you too. And if you ever had to prove that your beauty does not cancel out your brain, your gift, and your purpose, and your strength, or your anointing, I need you to stay with me till the end. I got something to say today. And because today we are looking at the story of the very, very first lady, Queen Vasa. And many of you who read the Bible, we all know about Esther. So this is coming from the book of Esther. But we rarely talk about Queen Vasa except to say what she didn't do. But today I want to bring out what she really did. And before we judge her or dismiss her or skip over her, we need to slow down and ask a real question. What happens when a woman knows she is more than what people want to realize about her, or they want to just show her off? So, as I said in the book of Esther, this is her story. There was a king with a great empire, and I'm making it simplified so that non-Bible readers can follow along too. And he had great power because he was over a big, swath of the land. And he had land, he had people that he ruled over, and he was powerful and mighty, and he wanted to show off that power. So he decided that he was going to have a banquet for all of the important people, the princesses, the nobles, the leaders, everybody of all high class people came and was at this particular banquet. And then, this banquet lasted for 180 days. It was eaten out of gold goblets and cups. And I mean, it was a real display. And then then also, after that time, which that was 180 days, so that was a long time, he wanted to display his wealth even more, his power, his greatness, and all that he had. So he wanted the people to see that he was powerful and all that he owned. He wanted that whole ambiance. So he wanted them to feel his status. He wanted them to know that he was the important person in the room, and he wanted them to be in awe of him. So then, after he had that banquet, he invited all of these other people to come to the palace area as well. So he kept this celebration going on. Now, at the same time, First Lady, Queen Vashti, she was over there having her own party. And she was the first lady of the kingdom, so she gave her own banquet for the women in the palace. So she had her own thing going. And I like this about her because even though she was under this king, she knew how to celebrate and how to have her own thing going. And so Queen Vashti was not somebody who you would hide in the corner because she was very, very beautiful. In fact, she was considered one of the most beautiful person in all of the area. And she wasn't just doing anything. She had her own influence, and she had her own space and her own role. And she was hosting people in the palace. And obviously, it was important to her. But then the king told his attendants to bring Queen Vashti, First Lady, to him with her royal crown on her head. And he wanted to, this was his intent, because she was so beautiful. He wanted the other, get this, men to look at her beauty. Now let's sit with that for a moment. He did not call her to come speak. He did not call her for her to give wisdom to the room. He did not call her to honor her in some way that would bring honor to her. He did not call her to, he only called her rather to display and for her to be seen. But what did he want to be seen? He wanted her beauty to be seen. He didn't want all of the rest of her that she brought to the table. He just wanted her beauty. So I think it doesn't say this in the Bible now. It doesn't say, but he'll probably have done this before. And this was probably something that he usually have done. But Queen Vashti decided she had enough. So she refused to come. Now, some people may say, how dare she refuse the king? But others may say, but what did she know about her worth that made her say no? You see, this is where many women are living right now. You may not live in a palace, you may not wear a royal crown, but you may be married to a king or you may be in a relationship. But you know what it feels like to be called into a room just to be looked at and not to be listened to, not to be valued, not to for people to not see your worth, but just so you can be displayed in front of others to make the person you're with feel valued. Because that's all that is. That is trying to make that person look valuable. And you know what it feels like to be praised for being pretty, but not to be taken serious. And a lot of times it comes with a lot of unwanted advances. A lot of times people start looking at your beauty and then they want to become very inappropriate, make inappropriate comments, and this is made also too. It doesn't speak to this, but many a times, those people are not just looking at her and being quiet. They are making statements. They are saying things, and so a lot of times those are unwanted advances. So, for First Lady got tired of being seen in that way. And you know what it feels like to be nice enough to smile, but strong enough to and you can be strong enough to help, but smart enough to fix a problem, but still not being respected for your skills. Because obviously she knew how to throw a party and she knew how to bring people together. So she had some level of skill, but this was not what was happening. And so First Lady made a decision, and I'm sure she must have had some thought about it because she, I'm sure, knew that this is the most powerful person in their kingdom. So she have had to know that it was going to come with consequences. So she may have made that decision that the very next time that I am called upon to display myself, and now I have to be subjected to this all the time, she made a conscious decision for her life that no, this was not going to be happening. And so she had made that decision. And of course, you know what it feels like to carry beauty, brains, experience, sometimes education, skill, your faith, and your wisdom, and still have someone treat you like you are only good for one thing, and that's to sit and be pretty. And that hurts because beauty is more than how you look. Beauty is the value that God has placed on you. Yes, beauty is not only on your body, but it is your mind, it's your character, it's your courage. And beauty can be in your boundaries, the boundaries that you have set for your life. And beauty can be in your ability to say, I will not be used in a way that dishonor who I am. And that's where real beauty comes in because you really have to know your worth for you to sit in a place and come to a place where, yes, um, you may have that beauty, but it's not meant for other people to take advantage of you. And and because when you do not know where your beauty lies, people will try to tell you what your beauty is for. And so many a times when you're young, a lot of times you don't know, and you may start out and allowing people to do that, to be able to just tell you that you're beautiful for this, and you may be subjected to some things because you're beautiful. But there comes a time that, just like First Lady Vasai understand and understood, that just because she was beautiful, that her beauty was worth more to her, and her value rather was worth more to her than to constantly keep going through that cycle and cycle again of being, and in many cases, humiliated. Because yes, everybody else is enjoying your beauty, but on the inside you're feeling uh diminished. And so many may say your beauty is for their benefit, but not so. But when you know your value, you understand that your beauty is not a box you must live in. that your beauty is not a costume that you wear or makeup that you put on, but beauty is not a contract that says people can now disrespect you and disregard you. The beauty is part of you, but it is not all of you. So Queen Vasai refused to come. And guess what, people? Of course, you knew what happened next. The king became angry. And then he asked his consultants what should be done to her, that she embarrassed me in front of all of these people. And the men around him said, of course, it was men, said that Queen Vasai had not only wronged the king, now see how they went and tried to make it more than just that, but that she had wronged all men and all citizens. Now she done wronged all the men of the area. And so they said if other women hear about what she did, they may start treating their husbands differently. So now hear this. Sometimes when a woman sets a boundary, people act like she started a war. Sometimes when a woman says no, people act like she broke the whole entire system. And sometimes when a woman refuses to be used, people call her disrespectful. But all she did was refuse to show up in a way that did not honor her. And that right there is breaking that cycle. And understanding cycles is about seeing what is keep repeating in your life. Some women are not being rejected because they lack value. Some women are being pushed out because their value makes people uncomfortable, especially when you stand up for yourself. Some women are not losing positions because they're not good enough. Some are being blocked because they will not play to their beauty alone. And some women are being ignored because they, not because they have nothing to say. Some women are being silenced because their voice would change the room. And not and many times people don't want you to just have a voice. They want to, when they see that you have a certain beauty, they want to use your beauty and that alone. And the men the men advised the king to banish her from his presence. And that means she was never to come again before the king at all. So they said he should choose another first lady who is more worthy than her. But here is the part we don't want to miss. After the king anger went down, guess who he started thinking about? Oh, that first lady Vasai. He remembered that beautiful woman, so she must have had more than just that beauty, and he knew it. He probably deep down within realized that he was the one that was wrong. But of course, he the king. And he realized that he had done banished this woman and her beauty, and he no longer had access to her. So that also tells us something very powerful. People may remove you in anger, but they may remember you when they get quiet and still and what they have done. And people may dismiss you in public, but think about your value in private. And people may act like you were easy to replace, but later realize your presence really carried something that they should have understood, but they did not understand. So here's what we do if you feel like Queen Vasai First Lady felt. First, you need to stop shrinking your whole self to fit in someone else's point of view about you. You do not have to hide your beauty to prove you are smart. So that doesn't mean you have to dumb down your beauty. That doesn't mean that you have to deny that you're beautiful, because what God gave you, He gave you. You do not have to dress down your light so people can handle your gift. And you do not have to make yourself less so others can feel more comfortable. But you can carry yourself with the wisdom and do not apologize for what God gave you. And then know what room you are in, because every room that you walk into is not built to honor you. And every invitation to come into a room is not necessarily going to be an opportunity. And every call to come forward is not always a call from God. Some people are not calling you because they respect you. They are calling you because they want to use what you have in a way that would work and benefit them. So, before you say yes, ask yourself, am I being honored here, or is this just to put me on display? And then build your inner value. And that comes with time, and sometimes it comes with age. A lot of times when you're younger, you may not understand your value. Some do. Some been groomed and taught. Sometimes, if you have a childhood where your parents and your support community help build your character, it may be already instilled in you. But sometimes you don't get that always until sometimes as you get older in age. So don't give up. It can come. But beauty may get attention, but your character will last forever. And skills will help you to grow, and boundaries will help you to protect who you are. So I want you to keep learning, keep growing, keep healing, keep praying, and keep becoming and building, because what cannot be taken away by someone's opinion is that even if they see you as just another pretty face, they cannot take that away. They cannot take your value away when you know your value and you know your worth. So do not let rejection rewrite your worth. Queen Vasi was removed from the king's presence, but that does not mean she had no value. Yes, some doors close because you refuse to comply, and that is not always a loss. Sometimes it's really your protection, because she may actually really want it out. So, this episode promise is simple. By the end of this conversation, I really wanted you to stop seeing your beauty as something that people can use. And I really wanted you to see that your beauty is a part of your value and not all that you have to offer. So let us say a prayer. God, thank you for making me with care, for even making me beautiful and having purpose and value. But help me to understand where my beauty lies. Teach me to see myself the way you see me. And when others only notice my outside, remind me that you also see my heart, my mind, my gifts, my wisdom, and what you've called me to. And give me the courage to set the healthy boundaries in my life. Give me peace when I am misunderstood. Give me strength when I am not taken seriously. And help me stop chasing approvals from rooms that cannot and will not see me for who I am, but only see my shape, my body, my hair, and my looks. Lead me to places where my voice and my work and my value are respected. And then let my beauty come from within, and let it shine with wisdom, grace, and purpose. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. So now, listen, my Mama Faye family, Understanding Cycles by Mama Faye is going to return in the fall with this new series called The First Lady and the King. And we're going to go into a whole, that book of Esther, and we're going to learn all about Esther's story. So I want you to go ahead and subscribe and set your notification for this podcast. Because in this series, we are going to get into the preparation for elevation and why you must listen to, respect the people who know how to get you in the door. And then we're going to also talk about the plot to get rid of you, the plan to fight back, the protocol, and there is a protocol to get you what you want, the payback, and the celebration and the come up. Because another person rejection, which was Vasai, we're gonna move on. Maybe the start of the setup for the next, who was Esther. What closed for one, which was First Lady Vasai, maybe the beginning for the other Esther. What looked like being pushed out, Lady Vasai, maybe God preparing for Esther, who was the next one to come into reign. So make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a comment wherever you listen to this podcast. And I want you to tell me where you're listening from, because that's going to let me know where you're listening from, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or any other platform. And make sure that you subscribe to the Mama Faye, the Motivate Moment by Mama Faye on Substack, so you do not miss a single episode. And this podcast is one of 3. I also have Mama Faye Becoming Me podcast, which is currently in a series called Becoming Me, and it's all about goal setting. And then I also have going on Mama Faye Small Steps, Big Change, which is things you need to know that your mama did not tell you. That series is coming as well. And so I want you to make sure that you subscribe so that you will get notification, and it'll come straight to your mailbox so you can stay encouraged and equipped with more episodes like these. But before I close, I do want to leave you with this. When you know your value, you do not have to stoop low to be seen. You can stand up in truth, walk in wisdom, and trust God to place you in a place of honor that brings respect. I want to thank you for listening. That is all for today, and I will see you next time.
And I got something to say.